welcome to Yoga Jadra. Today's lesson is going to be about a 30-minute beginning level practice. So this is the place to start on my Yoga Jadra site. I'm going to do my best to go through some of the tradition of yoga and some of the most common practices in a little more detail and a little more slowly than I might usually in a traditional class. So go ahead and grab your mat. We're about to begin. We'll start in Sukhasana, or a long, tall seat, any comfortable seat where your spine can be long and tall. This length through the torso is going to create a lot of room for our breath. So you can even experiment just right now by letting the spine hunch over. See what it feels like to take a breath here. And then reaching the heart up high and lifting here and taking a breath here. See what that feels like. And both those have their own time and place in the posture practice. But when we're sitting in Sukhasana, we have this length and we have so much room for the lungs and ribs to expand on the breath in and release back down on the breath out. The practice of yoga is the practice of settling the mind. The word yoga translates to union. It's a Sanskrit word, the language of the postures, the asana, Sukhasana that I've already mentioned. And the practice of yoga is written in Sanskrit. And the Sanskrit word yoga means union. So we're thinking about unifying our mind and our body, our spirit, our soul, to live in harmony. And you can imagine as we go through the movement practice, the physical maintenance of the body, or the hatha practice, which also includes some breath work and stillness, of course, that we are attempting to settle our minds. So knowing there is chaos going on outside of our bodies, outside of our space that we're in, and there's chaos going on inside our bodies. There's all the thoughts that we have running through the mind. There's little twitches and itches and maybe aches and pains that are in our physical body as well. And that creates a lot of stuff to think about. So when we go through the work here, what we're trying to do is notice all of those things, let them be, and reside still in our own calm, peaceful, loving place. That place that exists within all of us, within ourselves and all living beings, but sometimes it's maybe hard to tap into. So we practice here in this safe space on this mat or wherever you are, getting to that space so that it's easier to find throughout the rest of the day, the week, the year. All right, so let's come back to Sukhasana. If you've fallen over side to side, front or back, just find your way back to that tall space, top of the head reaching high, tailbone down to the earth, and we'll go ahead and close the eyes. And just start to check in with your own chaos, with the things that are drawing your attention, whether that be something going on in the world today or something just going on in your world today. And see if you can notice those things, notice those distractions, those thoughts, and let them exist without judgment, without good or bad, without anxiety or excitement, without fear or joy. Just noticing what's there. And that'll be a consistent practice throughout our movement today. Noticing what's there without assigning any judgment. And we start off the practice with the sound of Om. The sound of Om creates the vibration of the common energy among all living things. So that peaceful place, that calm place that's within us and all living things that I just spoke about, we're going to tap into it a little bit by singing the vibration of Om. And of course, you can just listen, or you can join in with me and sing along. Start with a slow breath in, filling the torso. Notice the vibration continuing to fill the body and the space around us even after the sound has passed. And when you're ready, you can lift the gaze, flutter the eyes open. I'm going to place my hands, whether you're kneeling or wherever you are, I'm going to place my hands somewhere on the knees, on the thighs. And I'm going to start today with our movement in a seated cat-cow. So we're seated already. And the cat-cow is a movement through the vertebrae. So I'm going to inhale to lift the heart, press the belly forward, and stick out the tailbone. And on the exhale, I'll reverse. So I'll tuck the tailbone, press the spine back, let the chin fall. Just like we did at the very start, to notice what it feels like with those different variations of breath. Inhale is going to lift us up one more time. We're starting to move the vertebrae, wake up the nervous system, that highway through the spine, the spinal cord. And on the exhale, we'll press back once more. And then find your way through the center, just sitting up tall. Back in Sukhasana. Great. Let's find our way to stand at the front of the mat. Toes forward, heels back. Standing mountain pose or Tadasana. Stacking head over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over knees, knees over ankles. So one straight line all the way up. Check that your tailbone is not sticking out back here, creating this extra lordosis, and also that you're not leaning forward. We're just right in the middle. Same with the shoulders. You don't want to come forward and you don't want to be too far back. You want to be right in the middle. Anatomically beneficial standing here. Strengthening already through the core and the back muscles. Already engaged around the muscles of the ankle and knee. And let's let the hands fall to the side. Palms are going to kind of face forward. And we'll move around with the weight on the soles of the feet and just see what it feels like to tip over to the right side, to tip over to the left side, to tip to the back and to the front. Tiny little dance here. And then see if you can shift to evenly on all four corners of both feet. And here we'll begin our Surya Namaskar, our salutation to the sun. Very common first vinyasa, first flow, warm up for a yoga class. We'll inhale the hands up and reach the heart high. Now, as the heart comes up, the hips do come forward a little bit. I'm still not sticking my tailbone out. It's tucked under, and the hips are coming forward as the heart lifts up. The weight has shifted a little bit. On an exhale, I'm going to release over into a fold. Bend the knees as much as you need to protect the lower back and hamstrings. I'm going to relax the head, shake it no, nod it yes. It's going to help me check that I've really let go of the muscles in the neck and the shoulders. The jaw should also be released, no strain there. And I'll step back with my right foot and my right toe to the back of the mat. I'll lower down the right knee and then just gently sink into the hips. Nothing too crazy. Maybe a gentle stretch on the back quad, the front of the thigh, and the back of the front leg. Low lunge pose. Now, one thing that's really important for the low lunge pose is that the sole of your front foot stay flat on the mat. So if your heel has picked up, just go ahead and find your space. Maybe walk the front foot forward a little or walk the back knee back a little until you get that flat foot. That's going to protect this front knee joint. So holding here in low lunge for just a breath. And I'll plant the palms down on the earth and find my way into a plank. So now the back leg has lifted and my front foot goes to meet the back foot. And here I am in one straight line from the heels all the way to the top of the head. Maybe press through the shoulder blades, engaging with a whole bunch of muscles here. Core muscles, arm muscles, back muscles, my thighs are engaged. Hold here for a breath. And then I'm going to lower down my knees and heart and chin. This is 8 points pose. My 8 points are my 2 feet, my 2 hands, my 2 knees, my heart, and my chin. So 2, 4, 6, heart and chin is 8. Then I'll slide onto the belly and just gently press into the earth as I lift the heart. And there's really barely any weight on the hands. It's a very gentle press. Tops of the feet are on the mat as well. Release back down, and I'll press back up through plank, maybe a modified plank this time with the knees down, and then the hips swing back and we're in our first downward facing dog. Palms of the hands are flat on the earth, fingers are spread wide. And you can experiment here in down dog for a moment, moving perhaps the heels slowly one at a time to meet the earth and feeling the stretch in the back of the leg. Or imagine pressing the belly button to the spine, get a little more length through the back. Or start to shimmy in the shoulders a bit, or rocking back and forth in the shoulders and opening that joint. One more breath, whatever you're experimenting with. And then we'll look at the space between the hands. And I'm going to bring my right foot forward this time. So I have my left foot forward for the first low lunge, and now we're kind of reversing. So I'm taking the right foot forward, lower down the left knee, sink again into the hips. And again, really important to make sure that that right foot is flat on the earth. So if you get stuck back here, pick it up all the way forward, protect that knee joint, and we'll sink down in the hips as we lift up in the heart. Again, a little stretch for the hips, for the back quad, and the front hamstring. And then I'm going to take my left foot, my back foot, to meet my front foot. And again, the toes
and heels are in line, so the feet are parallel, and I'm returning to that forward fold. It's called Uttanasana in Sanskrit. Letting the head hang once more, and again I'm going to just bend my knees as much as I need to keep the lower back and the hamstring muscles protected. But as you feel able and open, you can start to lengthen deeper and deeper. And to come out of it, I'm going to reach the top of the head to the front of the room. I'm just going to reach long, 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 so my back is actually going through this kind of really long, flat, table-like pose. And then I'll come all the way up. Return to the high arch, heart lifts, hips come forward. Then palms come together, down through heart center, and hold here for a moment as you steady your breath and steady your heart. And let's return back to Tadasana. Tuck the tailbone, lengthen through the top of the head. Check in with the weight on the soles of the feet. And we'll go once more. This time we'll lead with the left leg. So inhale comes up and back, high arch. Exhale, releases over Uttanasana, forward fold. Left leg goes back, so we're right in that same low lunge we were just in. Sink the hips, lift the heart. Now you're feeling a little steady. Maybe you're feeling open enough to come up, strong enough to come up to the thigh. Inhale here. Exhale here. Inhale one more time, and we'll transition into plank. So palms flat on the earth. One long line, heels to the top of the head. Engage through the arms, press through the shoulder blades. Don't let the head hang. We want to actually be looking at the earth, or maybe even a little forward. One more inhale. And as you exhale, you lower it down. Knees first, then heart and chin. Here we are in 8-point pose. One more time. Feel the opening in the torso, in the abdominal region. And then we'll slide onto the belly, forward and up into a baby cobra. Nothing crazy. Just lifting the heart. You're really working the back muscles. Feel the lower back engaged. Release down, tuck the toes, and press on back up. Plank and into downward facing dog. Take a moment. Take some time. To check in with your pose here. One key aspect of the yoga practice, especially the movement practice, is that your own body, your physical body, is your best teacher. Because your body is going to tell you just exactly what is right, what's too much, and what's not enough. And I'm going to take my left foot, slide it forward. Again, don't get stuck back here. Pick it up, bring it all the way to the front. Lower down the back knee. Sink down in the hips and lift the heart. And if you did so on the first side, go ahead and give it a try lifting up. Breath in here. Breath out one more time. And on the next exhale, we'll bring the back foot to meet the front and hang over again. Uttanasana, forward fold. Feeling open, want to go a little deeper. Maybe clasping the hands at the ankles, forearms along the length of the lower leg. Inhale, and then the exhale draws you a little deeper. And again, check in with your body, who's going to tell you exactly your limitations. Now the head is relaxed. The jaw is relaxed. The neck is more relaxed. And we'll let go of the hands if you had them. And we'll reach the top of the head forward, up, back, high arch. And again, down through heart center, steady heart, steady breath. From here, I'm going to pour the weight over onto my right foot, lift up my left, and step it back. This is a high lunge. To get into my first warrior pose, Vrksasana 1,
I'm gonna bring my left heel down on the mat. So I have my right heel in line with my left arch. If that is really unstable, you can bring your feet a little wider towards the edges of the mat. Now it's kind of like they're on railroad tracks. But find the space that works for you. For warrior one, my hips are square to the front. My arms come up overhead. Palms face each other. And I'm reaching with my fingertips, but watch, I'm not bringing my shoulders up. The shoulders are staying low in their sockets, even as my fingers reach high. Check out the tailbone as well. Instead of sticking out the tail, I've got it still tucked under. I'm engaged and really using these back muscles and the core muscles. Warrior one. To open into warrior two, keep the legs exactly where they are. Oop, my back foot opened a little bit. And we'll bring the arms parallel to the earth and open. Now the hips are square to the side of the mat. So warrior one, front of the mat, warrior two, side of the mat. Arms extend parallel to the earth. Biggest thing to check is your front knee. Tendency is for it to come inside. Really dangerous, really going to be painful in the long run. Keep that knee pressing towards the outer edge, directly in line with the front toes. Breath here. Let's return back to warrior one and step back to Tadasana. Second side. I'm going to bring my hands back to heart center. I'll bring my right foot up. Step it back, high lunge. To get into warrior one, rotate that back heel down. You're pressing through the outer edge of the back foot. You have even weight on both feet. If I lift it up, if I knocked over one foot, you'd fall, no matter which one. Arms come up, warrior one. Again, reach high with the fingertips, but stay low in the joint of the shoulders. Strong pose. As you get stronger, you can go deeper and deeper. Opening into warrior two, hips are now square to the other side of the mat. Arms are parallel to the earth. You can check them out, take a look. If they're up here, bring them down. If they're down here, bring them up. Lengthen in both directions, like there's a tug of war. Someone on both sides of your arms pulling you in opposite directions. Check your front knee. Did it swing in? If it did, just bring it back out. Directly over the toes. And we'll slide back to warrior one. And go ahead and step on up to the front of the mat, Tadasana. Stepping partway back on the mat, I'm going to bring my toes to touch, and I'll lift up onto my tippy toes. So this is actually quite a challenge. We're balancing up on the tippy toes, but we're keeping, again, that length. So no butts out, no hips forward, no side to side, no arching. We're just straight here, up and down. Coming down through Prapadasana. So keep the tippy toes, and this might be a challenge pose. We're going to stay on the tippy toes as we sit down. Let's bring the knees to the earth and keep the toes tucked. This is going to be an intense stretch on the soles of the feet for a lot of folks. And it may not feel like a beginner pose, but it's really, really beneficial to stretch out the soles of the feet. They do a lot of work for us every single day. And when we get all of this pulled apart, all the fascia, just sort of, it's almost like getting a foot massage. Maybe a little more painful, but with similar benefits. And we'll let that go. So we'll come forward and tap out the toes. It really is important for everybody to be able to give our feet some love and attention. We'll roll over onto one side and bring the legs out long in front. I'm going to to sit up in a Navasana pose. So this is already a modified Navasana, boat pose, clasping behind the knees. If you want to go to the next, lift up one and then the other, legs, hold here. And if you're feeling balanced and strong, maybe the arms go long. Inhale, lift the arms high. Bring the soles of the feet together. And we're in a Baddha Konasana, or cobbler's pose. Imagine sitting here, working on making your shoes back in ancient India. So, from here in our cobbler's pose, in our Baddha Konasana, we're going to lengthen through the top of the head. Again, tall spine. You can stay right here. This might already be quite enough. But if you feel like you could go a little deeper, we'll reach the top of the head forward and perhaps press the elbows. And we'll come on back up. We're going to lengthen the left leg long and bend the right knee. We'll go into our final twist. I'm going to bring my right foot over the left leg and plant it on the earth. So again, if your heel comes up, if your toe comes up, find the space where that foot can be flat. Energy through the left toes. I'll use my hands here to help lengthen, hold the spine up tall. Then I'm going to bring my right hand back. And my left gives my right leg a hug and look over the right shoulder. I'm always twisting to the right first to squeeze out the organs, because this is actually the wrong way for digestion. Still good for the spine, still getting the blood flushed out, but it's moving your food in the wrong direction. So, come back to the center, maybe baby twist the other way, and we end with a twist to the left, because that is the proper direction to squeeze your food. So place that left foot flat on the earth, right toes up high to the sky. Again, we'll lengthen here through the spine, get as tall as you can. Left hand comes back. Use the right to hug. Inhale, lengthen, and twist on the exhale over the left shoulder, looking over the left shoulder. Now we're squeezing out the organs and we're flushing our food in the proper digestive direction. Turn to the front, and let's do a baby twist the other side. And we'll lengthen that leg out long as well. I'm going to come down to the earth. So I'm going to lie down flat on the back. But I'm going to get there by using the core muscles. I'm going to use the abdominals to lower vertebrae by vertebrae, slowly down onto the mat. And let's start here with a lower back release. We'll knock the knees together and let the feet go wide. Maybe bring one hand to the belly and one hand to the heart. And bring the awareness back to the breath. Close the eyes. Let's go into 5-count breath. So we'll have an even 5 counts to breathe in and 5 counts to breathe out. As you breathe in, imagine you're filling up the torso like a balloon. It's getting expanded bigger and bigger. And as you exhale, it falls back down. So let all the breath out. And then inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let it out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, in. 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one on your own. And then we'll transition into Shavasana. Shavasana is our final resting pose. It actually translates to the word corpse pose, so dead man's pose. And we're going to let our arms and our legs lie flat on the earth, palms face up, toes falling out to the sides. Nose is going up towards the ceiling. See how anatomically this is a lot like Tadasana, our standing mountain pose. Now you have the full support of the ground and the mat underneath the back of the body. So instead of engaging with every muscle to hold everything up, you're going to let go of everything because you don't need to hold anything up. The earth has you, the mat has you, the ground has you. Shavasana is arguably the most important pose of the class, of every class. So we go through all the movement, all the breath work and the strengthening, stretching to prepare the body for this moment of ease, where we really and truly practice living in peace. So returning to checking in with the chaos around you and in you, and see if you can again watch all of that without judging. Is there a muscle in the jaw or around the eyes that you could let go? Is there anything in the toes or ankles you're holding on to you could let go? Anything in the hips, the hands? And to get out of Shavasana pose, we're just going to gently start small movements in the fingers and the toes. Maybe a small rocking of the head side to side. Perhaps a yawn, a big stretch in opposite directions. You can roll over onto one side if you need to, or you can just find your way using your core muscles. Find your way back up to sit in your Sukhasana, your tall seated pose. To close. So as we move into, or as you move into more traditional Hatha classes that I've posted, in the Shavasana pose, there's some where the Shavasana pose is much longer, some even half the class, 15 minutes, and you will remain reclined and released on the earth, and I'll come back up to sit to guide you through a visualization to help the body and mind find that place of peace and live and exist there for those few minutes. So to end today, we'll lengthen again through the tall back, reaching head high, tailbone down. You can feel the abdominals engaged. Just check in again with your own body and mind. See what's the same, what's different as it was from the beginning of class. And we end with the mantra Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And this is the mantra for peace. And as we say the word Shanti, not only does it translate to the word peace, but it is said that creates the vibration of peace. So as we say Shanti, we're creating vibration, peaceful vibrations in the body, and letting that float out into the space around us. Start by letting go of all the breath. Then a slow breath in.